Welcome back to Recovery Demystified. I'm Early. I'll be your host. We are a 501c3 nonprofit out of Northwest Arkansas. We have support group meetings at the library, the local Fayetteville Library. I do this podcast, and then we also have a free book project. If you are in financial hardship and you want a free book on addiction recovery or self-help, trauma, healing, anything in that sort of wheelhouse, send an email, info@recoverydemystified.com, and we'll be happy to get you a book. And if you have a little chump change in your pocket, our Venmo is at Recovery Demystified, and we also have a PayPal. We're entirely sponsored by donations, and I'm very frugal with spending your money, but I do believe that all of our services should always be free because life-saving recovery services should not be withheld from a person based on their income level. I think that everyone of every financial status should have every single bit of resources that wealthy folks have. So if you have a little bit of extra money rolling around, or if you own a business and you're interested in a business sponsorship, give me an email or just drop the money in the Venmo and it will all go to good use. Addiction is a public health crisis and people are suffering and dying and they deserve help. Today on the podcast, I interviewed a friend of a friend. His name is Jakob. He's a musician. He went through a lot of different issues with drug use and alcohol use, and his story was really interesting. I was excited to speak with him because he had hyperemesis from cannabinoid poisoning, which is something that we don't speak about very much because weed is largely regarded as a safe drug, and it mostly is, except that in the past few years, it's been getting more and more highly concentrated. The THC content is very, very strong in a lot of the dabs and the edibles and the extracts and stuff like that. And with the strength of THC in that way, it can poison some of us. And he was hospitalized for the hyperemesis, and his story is really interesting. Cannabinoid Hyperemesis Syndrome, I believe, is like the official term for it. And I worked on the ambulance for a couple of years, and we did see quite a bit of this and other negative repercussions of people, cannabis-induced psychosis, people just hitting a joint that was too strong and standing up and passing out, lots of different psychological traumas. What I like to say about weed in general is like what I just like to say for everything, like, it's your life. It's your choices. You are in charge of your recovery. You are in charge of your life. For some people, weed is the problem, and for some people, weed is the solution. And for a lot of people, it's somewhere in between, and all of that stuff is okay. Like, we're allowed to have different varying experiences with substances, and it's just interesting to hear Jakob's perspective on the road that he went down with weed and being hospitalized, almost dying, and having a very dangerous medical condition as a result of it. So I hope y'all get something good from this interview. He also reminded me, I've been listening to the Mountain Goats a lot lately, just feeling really nostalgic for the like goofy indie rock music that I used to like in the past. And his story of, it's like he was standing on the horizon and he could see his recovery, and it wasn't linear, and it sort of came and went until now he seems like really, really sure of himself. But it reminded me of the lyrics from this Mountain Goats song where he says, "There's gonna come a day where you feel better. You'll rise up free and easy on that day. Float from branch to branch, lighter than the air. Just when that day is coming, who can say? Who can say?" My dear, if you are suffering right now, I hope that someday you float from branch to branch lighter than the air. Just when that day is coming, who can say? Without further ado, here's my interview with Jakob. Hello, Jakob. I'm so happy to have you here today. Will you start by introducing yourself to the audience? Let them know your pronouns and then what makes you, you.
Hello. Hello. I am Jakob Schaffer. I am a he and a him, and I am a session and touring musician, and I play mostly with a band called the Black Legacy Project out of Atlanta. I'm about to go on a big tour with them. Everybody should check that out. It's an awesome civil rights type of show, documentary and a music show. It's really great. Check it out, theblacklegacyproject.org.
Hell yeah, little personal plug there.
I got to do it.
No shade. So we are here today to discuss your story with substances and addiction and recovery. I'm curious what it was like for you. What was it like to be a little kid? What was some of your first exposure to substances? Sort of when did it ramp up and get bad? When did you realize it was a problem? And then what was your story of recovery like? Start wherever you like.
Well, my personal story, I had a really great childhood with a wonderful family, but we had a lot of traumatic death in my family, suicides, sudden deaths. I've lost a lot of people, and that I feel like was probably the main reason I really got into drugs and alcohol. Some people go other paths, but me, I went with the old school. Man, I'm just going to drink a whole lot and do all the drugs. That's what I'm going to do. And I've always been a musician, so I always had music to play. So at least I feel like that's probably the reason I'm not dead from all of it is music. But it definitely started when I was a kid. I think the first time I ever smoked weed was probably when I was 12 or 13, maybe at the latest. And that really, I don't want to say weed's a gateway drug, but I mean, it's kind of a gateway drug. It'll definitely at least make it a little easier for you to want to try other things, especially alcohol and all the hard drugs, the opiates, all that bad stuff. And I remember, I think I was 7th grade. I think it was the summer right before 7th grade when I first started smoking weed. I was about to be in marching band, and all of the marching band people were running off, and we all made a Coke can with a bunch of holes in it and smoked a bunch of that nasty ditchweed back in the mid-'90s. That tells you how old I am. So that's kind of when it started for me, and that progressed, after a lot more trauma in my high school years, a lot of that death trauma that really happened. That's when I started turning more to whiskey and to opiates, and I had just way too much access to opiates. I had a friend, my roommate, where I went to college, his mom had all of the opiates and gave us everything we ever wanted. We'd trade them for other drugs. We'd do them ourselves. We were quite the little drug kingpins back when we were 18, 19-year-olds.
I'm curious, at that age when you're experiencing all that death and trauma, like, as a society, it seems like we go to the funeral and then it's supposed to be over and we're all supposed to just get on and move on with it. But also when you're a kid, we don't get any real education on how to process our grief. At that time, did you connect the drugs and drinking directly to that grief, or was it more of a confusing discomfort, or did it feel like normal experimentation? How did it feel like for you?
It was a mix of just that seems like what you're supposed to do. I didn't know. I was confused. I didn't know how to feel about anything, but I sure know drugs and alcohol made me feel good, and that it made me not feel the pain, I guess, of dealing with what I was dealing with, or what I was not dealing with would probably be the best way to put it. And, it just led to more and more and a little bit more. I just kept going, and it just progressed, all through my 20s. I was still playing rock and roll, playing shows, touring, playing all over. But I could drink a fifth of whiskey at every show, and I could pop a bunch of opiates and snort a bunch of opiates and do some heroin. And I could do just about, and I remember playing a bunch of shows on LSD too, which was, I don't know what that even sounded like, but it couldn't have been good. But it became normalized to me. Like, this is what I do every day. I'm going to smoke weed all day, and then I'm going to probably get fucked up later. I'm going to go wait some tables, make some money. Then I'm going to go and do my music thing. That was my identity, was all of that wrapped into that. And I didn't know why. I didn't know it was because of grief. I didn't know it was because of trauma. And nobody said anything to me back then about processing grief or trauma. You just moved on. Mm-hmm. That was the culture in that time to me. And I'm from a small town, so of course nobody really knows how to process anything worth the fucking shit.
Were the adults in your life modeling that same type of behavior, like bury your grief in your drink type of behavior?
Yeah, exactly. You know, everybody, a lot of people in my family, there's plenty of substance abuse problems, and that's how everybody always handled everything was, let's go see some live music, let's get fucked up. That just seemed to be the answer. And so, of course, naturally, that's what I thought you were supposed to do, too, except I could do it and play shows and just felt like I was getting away with it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Did it feel like it worked for you?
I don't know if worked. Like I said, it really felt I was getting away with it. Mm-hmm. Was really, I was a very functional addict and a very functional alcoholic. I would say highly functional because, I was fucking fucked up at work, waiting tables. I worked at the same place I waited tables for 12 years, and I worked at the same place for 8 years, and I was never sober. Never, ever sober when I was there. There would be marijuana and something else if I was there. Mm-hmm. Always doing it.
Were there any negative repercussions during that time?
I don't know. I don't know if it cost me relationships. It probably did. Looking back, hindsight's always 20/20, but I'm sure there was things I missed out on. I'm sure there were opportunities I probably missed out on, but you can't really tell. You don't know if you're in the thick of the shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem, is you don't know how bad things really are until you're away from the bad things, and you can kind of look back, and that takes a few years of being sober to even begin to see that.
Yeah, it sort of just begins to feel normal at the time, and then if the people that you're around are also behaving the same way and are using about the same level of substances, it's just like the world that you're sort of just immersed in, it just becomes normal.
Mm-hmm. To me, I like the adage, misery loves company, because that kind of seems like what we're all doing. Let's all be a little bit miserable and fucked up together and not deal with any of the things we need to deal with. It's sad, but that's really what it was. You're not really living that way. You're not living life to your fullest. You're not really being the person that you're capable of being because you're too much in the shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of people really know that until they're out of the shit for a while. That's why recovery's so awesome, is you start to really kind of see who you really are finally, and you get to become the human that you really are.
For sure. So you're in your 20s in a band, just fucked up all the time, fucked up working at the restaurant, maybe having negative repercussions, but not being aware of it at the time. Was there a moment, like a light bulb moment, where you realized something maybe needed to start to change, or did it keep getting worse from there?
The time when the switch when I finally was like, I've got to do something about this. Mm-hmm. I was 31, and might have been 30. No, I was 31. Yeah, that sounds right. Yep, 31. I'm trying to remember exactly, because I'm a little bit older than that now. I was 31, and I had a girlfriend that I was living with, had a great house out in Weddington Woods. She worked at the hospital. I was waiting tables. That's how I met her. And we got along pretty great, but my addiction to Kratom had gotten so far to the point to where I was spending all my money on Kratom, like spending all of my money on Kratom every day, going to, if anybody remembers Sydney's there on Dixon Street, you could go buy Kratom there. There'd be a line of people waiting for Sydney's to open up every day.
I was going to say, isn't it illegal in Arkansas now? Like, you have to go to, like, Oklahoma or Missouri?
Yeah, I believe that was something Asa did, because he was a former DEA head, and at least, it's a drug policy is not exactly perfect, but not having access to Kratom is not exactly a bad thing. And yeah, you have to go across the border to get it. And there's a couple of shops as soon as you cross into Missouri, Oklahoma. Kratom!
Yeah, I'm curious. Not to make it about myself or anything, but I'm so interested in the differences of people who have a really hard time with that substance, and like my experience and a couple of other folks that I've spoken with. Like, when I first got sober of alcohol, I used Kratom every single day And I feel like it saved my life. And I feel like for me, I would get to that point where I would get a little bit nauseous and I just wouldn't want to take anymore. Like it was like it had this like self-fulfilling thing with me, but I also never was able to get super addicted to opioids because they just made me sick and I didn't like it. And I kind of think the difference with people who can get addicted to Kratom and the people who it can help are whether or not they have that same reaction with opioids or not. So was the addiction with Kratom, did it sort of mirror like how the opioids made you feel? Or what was your experience with it?
At the point that I started using Kratom every day, it's partially because I didn't have access to the opiates as much as anymore. But then when I really got on the Kratom, I found that I got higher and felt better than I did from any of the OxyContin or any of the heroin and all that bad stuff that I could get it, but it was a little bit more difficult. But I could walk into this shop and get this super cooked down Kratom. Yeah, and so I began using that to really make myself get off of the other opiates and everything, which is great. It's just like Suboxone or methadone. It becomes the thing. Yeah, it'll become your opiate. And, Kratom is from the coffee family of plants, so it was kind of speedy, kind of made you feel good, made you feel a little bit stronger, took away the pain in a way.
And it won't make you stop breathing like opiates will.
Yeah, it's definitely not as much of a respiratory thing at all. I agree. It's a safer opiate if you really want to go that route, but at the same time can be just as addictive. I was more addicted to Kratom than I was opiates. I fully believe that. And, everybody's chemistry is different, but for me, that Kratom was it.
Were you using the extract or the powder or?
The stuff I went to bought at Sydney's every day, it cost $90 for 10 grams of it. It was the Ultra Enhanced Endo. And it was super cooked down, super strong. Like 1 teaspoon of it and making some tea with it would send you through the roof. And I got to the point to where I was doing a bag of that every day.
That'll get expensive.
Like I said, I was spending all my money on the Kratom.
So how was that? What were the negative repercussions of that? How was that messing up your life?
Well, what had happened, I had my nice house out in the woods with my really cute girlfriend nurse. We were doing okay. I had my job. She had her job. And it got so bad to the point where I took her debit card out of her purse and went to Sydney's to buy some shit.
Oh, no.
And that's when I was like, this is wrong.
This is junkie behavior.
This is junkie fucking shit. This is not the person you want to be. And I knew it. And I remember trying to quit. I went to the woods. I stayed in the woods for like 6 days. Didn't have any Kratom. I didn't have any terrible withdrawal symptoms, but you had withdrawal symptoms nonetheless. It was more just my head was just swimming in problems. And I promised myself as soon as I get back to Fayetteville, I will not go buy that. But as soon as I got back to Fayetteville, I went straight and bought some. And it continued on that way for probably another year or so until I finally, my girlfriend kicked me out, rightfully so. She's like, get out. I basically was living in my van and staying with buddies for a couple, 3 weeks until finally I was like, this isn't good. And I remember doing a massive amount of cocaine with some friends one night, and I said, all right, that's it. I'm quitting my job, and I'm going to rehab. I'm not going to be at work tomorrow, y'all. And they're like, what? Come on, man. What? And I went down to my parents' house, and I said, hey, y'all, I got a problem. I need to go to the rehab. And they're like, are you serious? Are you sure? You really want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Help.
Were they aware at all that you'd had any struggles at that time, or was this your first time speaking to them about it?
They knew that I'd tried to quit once. They knew I had problems. They knew I had substance problems. They were big stoners themselves and everything. So to them, that's kind of how they dealt with everything, was weed and alcohol, like a lot of people do. A lot of boomers love that weed and love that alcohol. And so, they knew that if I wanted to quit, they were going to help me.
Yeah.
And without them, I would not have been able to do it. I love my parents to death. They have supported me. They've supported my music career. They've supported me getting sober. They're the kind of parents you really fucking want as far as I'm concerned. I love them to death and do anything for them. And they sent me they did not get me the cushy rehab. They did not send me to the nice place. I went to a place called Serenity Park there in Little Rock, which is right next to the Pulaski County Jail.
Lovely. Probably not that much different than the Pulaski County Jail.
They were getting people out of Pulaski County Jail, and they'd put them in the rehab there. That's where they sent them. So I was there for 37 days.
And what were you detoxing from when you first arrived? Was it like a bunch of different kinds of stuff, or?
It was kind of some cocaine. I was kind of a little bit on a cocaine bender, but not terrible. I could do a whole lot of cocaine, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I need cocaine all day, every day. Mm-hmm. I needed weed all day, every day. Mm-hmm. And I needed Kratom as much as I wanted. And that's when I got to that rehab and told them I have a problem with Kratom, they had no idea what I was talking about. This was 2013. Mm-hmm. So it's been a minute, and they had no idea what I was talking about. They're like, all right, man, we'll just put you in the program. Here, just tell us if you feel bad. They monitored my vitals every day because they had no idea what the hell I was on. So every 4 hours, they were monitoring my vitals.
Well, we had the Google in 2013.
Well, again, this was Serenity Park next to the Pulaski County Jail. not a cush rehab, if you will.
They're like, we'll make sure you can stay alive.
Yeah. We'll keep you locked in here for the most part. And actually, after 3 or 4 days, I think it was day 4, I was withdrawal free from the Kratom because it gets out of your system pretty quick. Mm-hmm. It's not like opiates and I feel like I'm gonna die. It's more just I really don't feel well. And I remember after 4 days I decided I don't need this anymore, and I packed up my bags and I left and I walked all the way across Little Rock. All the way across Little Rock to my brother's house, who kind of gave me a big dose of tough love. He's like, man, no. You need to go back to that place. I ain't doing nothing for you. I ain't even going to give you a ride. Get out of here.
Did they try to keep you from leaving? You were a voluntary admit, I guess. So.
Yeah, they set me down. They're just like, man, you really don't need to leave. You don't need to do this. And I talked to him and I feel fine and I'm leaving. Mm-hmm.
I'm cured.
It's what they call it, the pink elephants, the pink cloud. I can't. The pink clouds.
The pink cloud.
That's right. That's what that shit is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a pretty decent analogy for what I was feeling. And I remember walking across Little Rock and being like, I'm fine. I'm off the drugs. Everything's going to be good. I'm going to go back to my house. Everybody's going to love me. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't work out that way. And I was smart enough to go back. I called a friend who came and picked me up in the rain. I was standing in the rain. And they came and picked me up and took me back to rehab, dropped me off, and they gave me they tested me and everything. They're like, oh, man, we got to give you a breath test. We got to test you for everything. Make sure you didn't just leave and go do a bunch of shit. And I was like, I didn't do anything. They're like, yeah, we don't believe you.
How long were you out for? Just a few hours? Or
probably 6-7 hours tops. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even a whole day, really. I probably left about 11 o'clock and was back by 7 o'clock.
And did you have thoughts of using while you were out, or was the pink cloud, you're like, I'm just feeling good?
I was cured.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, I was cured. I don't need to be here anymore. Uh-huh. Yeah. And when I went back, I was like, all right, I'm going to finish the program. I'm going to stay here as long as you guys tell me, my bad. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Yeah.
And I stayed there. I was there for a total of 37 days, and they encouraged me to do chem-free housing, to do that stuff. And I was like, no, man, I'm going to go home. I don't want to do drugs anymore. Mm-hmm. I have no desire to do that. And I did. I went home. My girlfriend at the time took me back in, let me move back into her house.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah, what a sweetheart. And I didn't smoke any weed for probably, it was almost a year. I remember it would be in about 11 months. And then I was like, oh, man, just give me that joint. Let me hit that thing. Mm-hmm. And I started smoking weed again, and I became the California-Sober guy.
How long of a time frame was it between getting out and then having the temptation to smoke weed again?
I started playing music again pretty soon, went and played some shows, was committed to not doing anything, and I was scared. More than anything, if I smoked weed, it was going to lead me right back to drinking, right back to doing fucking opiates, right back to everything. I had that healthy fear, that's a good healthy fear.
Yeah.
And so I didn't. But, after I was really somewhat acclimated to all of it, I just gave in to a little bit of I'm hanging out in my buddy's studio, we're recording some songs, and I just was like, man, I want to be a part of the group.
Yeah. I
want to feel like I'm part of the group with y'all. I'm going to hit that weed. And they're like, man, are you sure? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. And I started right then again, started smoking weed all day, every day.
Just right back to how it was before.
Right back to that weed. Mm-hmm. But I still haven't had a drink or any drugs or any of that, anything else since then.
Did you have any new perspective on it when you started back up again, where was it sort of like, oh, it's going to be different this time? Like I've learned something about myself, or what did it feel like going back to it?
I felt like it was me giving something to myself that you're allowed to do this and no more. And so it was kind of it's okay. You don't have to be Captain Teetotal sober. You can kind of do something to fit in with the group, to fit in with the band. Do something to be social with people and not be that outlier of the sober person, because it feels kind of weird especially back then. It was still pretty weird to be a sober guy in the music community. It was not exactly as common as it is now. I think it's a lot more common now than it was 5 years ago, even 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it feels horrible to feel alienated.
Yeah, and I felt very alienated. Just like, man, no, and having to constantly tell people, no, I don't smoke. Don't hand that to me, thanks. It was just alienating. That was very alienating. It's not a good feeling you want with a group of people to feel alienated. And so I stayed California sober for years and years. Was touring with jam bands, doing stuff like that. Everybody was always around me doing massive amounts of fucking everything, but I have no desire to do anything. Like, I just want to smoke weed and get some sleep, y'all.
So you didn't have cravings or anything?
No, I knew something in my brain and something in my subconscious has always been, man, if you touch one drink, you're going to be that fifth of fucking whiskey every day again. And if you touch any opiates, you're going to be dead. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to die from that shit.
So there wasn't like a lot of need to resist anything because there was no real craving or temptation?
No, I like the way that I remember how I felt doing all that, and I don't want to feel that way anymore, and I liked the way that I felt when I was just California sober. I liked my faculties that I had. I liked my wits that I had about me. I was a stoner, and so I was like, yeah, but nonetheless, I liked the way that I felt. I felt like my ability to process emotions became something because I wasn't doing that, and that even took 3 or 4 years of being California sober before I was really even able to be like, what the fuck is actually wrong with me?
Yeah.
And began to really process why I really felt the need to really do all that. Rehab didn't help with any of that shit. Rehab just kept me from physically doing drugs, more or less, until I became acclimated to not physically having drugs in me, which is very, very useful. But as far as all the mantras and all that stuff, I never really bought into a lot of that. Especially you need a higher power. You need to give yourself over to your higher power. That's not my cup of tea at all. I'm the person in charge of me. So it's my responsibility to not do the things that I know will kill me. So that's how I feel about it. To anybody else, any other way of recovery, AA, NA, whatever you need to do to get your life better, great. If it's for you. Some people it's not for. I'm one of the people it's not really for. Even though that's what I did to get sober, it's not for me anymore. But no hate on anybody that does that. None.
For sure.
If you're working on getting sober, fuck yeah, whatever it takes.
Whatever works.
Whatever fucking works.
So the journey of starting to smoke weed again, you said lasted a few years. Did you have negative repercussions during that time, or were you just chilling and everything was cool, or how was that for you?
I was chilling and everything was working pretty cool, and I got a real job, in 2013. I was working as a facility systems technician and boiler operator, maintenance guy stuff at a hospital in Rogers. I love that job. I got to do all the big equipment. I got to run the giant generators. I got to go around and fix stuff for hot nurses. Great times. Really like that. But through that, I realized, what am I doing with my life? I'm like 33, 34 now. And what do I really want to do with my life? And I made the decision that, okay, I need to go and I need to start playing music full time. I need to get as devoted as I can into working as much towards those goals as I can. You only live one life. Live it the way you fucking want.
Hell yeah.
And that turned into a huge, terrible ordeal with both my family. My girlfriend broke up with me, said I'm not allowed to not have a job. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'm moving out. Bye. And my family, they disowned me. They thought that I was going back to doing drugs and trying to do all that. I'm like, y'all, I've been sober for 2 years. I don't want to do that stuff anymore. I don't want to do anything. I just kind of want to smoke some weed, and I just want to work being a full-time musician and find a way to do it. Nope, you can't do that. You're cut off. We don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Dang. How did that feel?
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, you talk about break your fucking heart. I mean, that's what I really felt like. Heartbroken for a long time.
The people that you're closest to, it's like your partner and your parents reacting.
Yes. I mean, like I said, my parents helped me save my life. And now they're like, well, we can't have anything. You're cut off and you're disowned. We don't want anything to do with you. And I was like, well, okay. I guess I got to go figure out what to do.
Damn.
But
where'd you go from there?
And it really, surprisingly, I never felt any cravings to get fucked up. I remember very specifically being, I don't want to drink. I don't want to do drugs. That's not going to fucking help. That's going to make it all worse. That's all going to prove them right. If anything, out of fucking spite, I'm going to prove them wrong. Goddamn, fuck all y'all. So what I did was I got a job playing drums at churches. That's what I did. That paid my rent for 3 years. About 3 years. That's what I was doing, was playing as many gigs as I could, picking up as many gigs as I could, playing in Tulsa, playing Kansas City, playing, regionally, and being, no matter what, if I played in Kansas City on Saturday night, I was going to be at that church that I had to be at 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, no matter where I was. I was going to make it back, and I was going to be there for it.
And this was just a way for you to do gigs, or were you like getting into religion?
Oh no, this was, I need to get paid. And if you find good churches, they kind of understand. They're like, hey man, this is what I need to do this, and I'm happy to play for you. And I'll smile and look real good doing it. But, thanks on the proselytizing to me. But fortunately, there's some very liberal, wonderful churches out there that totally are like, yes man, hey, we just want you to be a part of this because you're a good musician and we know you need help making money right now. Every musician does. We're all a bunch of broke motherfuckers, all of us. We're all broke as shit. And it really, to me, it felt like I really proved my family and everybody wrong. I'm like, see, I just needed to dive into this. I need to do this because it's what I want to do. I don't need y'all to tell me how to do it. I'm not a broken person because I went to rehab. I'm not a broken person because I can't do drugs and party anymore. Yeah,
you're a healing person at that point.
I'm trying to heal, and I'm doing what I feel like I want to do with my life. And eventually, I managed to repair the relationships with my mom and dad, not so much with my brothers. They feel like, I'm supposed to do what they think I'm supposed to do, and you can't change some people's minds. You just got to be like, cool, man, well, I'm going to just not be able to talk to you then. But my mom and dad, we reforged our relationship, and I call my mama every day. I talk to my mama every day. And that's one of the things that having that space from them really helped to rebuild the relationship in a way. But also it helped them to realize that I'm not fucking around with this. I want to play music, and I'm going to have to obviously just prove you fucking wrong. Yeah,
and a lot of times in recovery, like, our loved ones have learned the habit of not trusting us, which makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
And it takes a long time sometimes to earn that trust back, and sometimes you never get it back, unfortunately, and that's, realizing that you can't control other people is super important in that. But I'm sure it felt really good to, like, prove to them, like, you can trust me, and getting that relationship back.
Yeah, it's really, and, I don't regret anything that's happened. I understand why they did what they did. And I don't understand why my brothers are still fucking the way they are. That's just the way. You can't control people. You can't. If people don't want to change their minds, you can't change their minds. It's kind of like vote for Trump. You can't change people's minds. Not to bring that up, but my mom and dad, they understood. They're like, well, you really do want to do this. I understand, and we want to help. We want to be here for you. We're going to do everything we can for you. I'm like, I just want to be sober and smoke all your weed. Can I have some weed, please?
So how did things progress from there? Like, I think you mentioned that the weed sort of like became an issue again? What changed? As soon as I started smoking the weed again, I went back to I like to smoke weed all day, every day. And that's what I did. I remember touring around, and all the musicians that were around, they're like, how do you smoke as much weed as you do? I'm like, I don't know. Addiction? I don't fucking know. Just I can. And I mean, I loved the dabs. I loved the concentrates so much. And that was my thing. I'd smoke flower, but I was mostly a concentrates kind of guy. And when the pandemic hit, I was doing about 250 shows a year right up until then. And then all of a sudden, March and the pandemic, they're like, yeah, go home. There's no shows. I'm like, oh, shit, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
And then I started getting that pandemic unemployment money because I was a self-employed musician. I was like, oh my God, I have money. I'm going to go spend it all on drums. And I'm going to buy the fucking sweetest dab rig I've ever seen in my life. With the e-nail and all the, everything. If it was high-end shit for dabs, I bought that and I wanted it in my house because I was going to sit around and play video games and wait for the music to come back and just rip dabs all day long. And I did that like it was my religion. And as soon as the music came back, got to go back to touring, got to get back doing the stuff that I'm doing, and got connected with Black Legacy Project in 2022, 2023, early 2023. That's when I got connected with them here at the Fayetteville Public Library. They hit me up to record a song for them. But I was still a super weed guy then. And then in January of 2024, I got up one morning. I was supposed to catch a flight to New York City to play some shows in New York City. And I woke up and I stood up and I had severe vertigo and dizziness and began to vomit uncontrollably. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know if I was dying. I didn't know if I was stroking out. I didn't know what was happening. And I grew up working in my family's nursing home, and I worked at the hospital. So I got a pretty good idea of if it's this bad, I need to go to the ER right now.
Yeah. Had you ever experienced anything close to that before?
No, never. Nothing. I'd never gotten sick from smoking too much weed because I could smoke all the weed and be like, yeah, I could smoke another one. Smoke 2 joints and smoke 2 more. That was part of my identity. I was Mr. California Soap.
Yeah, so you were like, oh shit, and were you by yourself at that time? I
was dating another girl by then, because the girl from previous, that didn't work out. And I was dating a singer-songwriter from the area around here, whose name shall not be mentioned. I remember waking up that morning, like I said, I was supposed to catch a flight, and I got up, and I was like, oh no, what's wrong with my brain? Oh, I'm just vomiting uncontrollably. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I need you to drive me to the ER right now. And went to the ER, and they didn't really treat me very nice at the ER, to be quite honest. They were like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. I remember them giving me a bunch of Ativan, get me to calm down, and my breathing stopped. They almost killed me with Ativan. Goodness. Yeah. And they were giving me everything, all the anti-nausea medication to make me quit throwing up. That worked. But I kept telling them, like, y'all, I'm still spinning like I'm on a carnival ride. And they're like, well, let's try this one thing. And they gave me a massive dose of Halidol. Ooh. And I remember when they pushed that, I was like, what? I was like, oh, thank God. And they're like, yeah, it's like pretty far down the list on what it's used for this cannabinoid hyperemesis, but it's there, and we gave it to you, so that definitely means that's what you had. And they gave me PET scans. They did everything for me to check out, make sure I didn't have a stroke. And they're like, yeah, this is cannabinoid hyperemesis, buddy. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Weed did this to me? You're kidding me. Are you sure? And they're like, 100%. And I almost didn't believe them. I was like, I've never heard of this. I consider myself a relatively informed person. Mm-hmm. How have I not known that I could have done this to myself? Yeah, and it's usually pretty widely believed that weed is like a safe drug and that it won't send you to the hospital and that it can't kill you and stuff like that, which is like largely true except for how strong the concentrates and stuff are getting now. I worked on the ambulance as an EMT for a couple of years here in Washington County, and you see like quite a few people having like THC poisoning, just like you're describing. And weed's just it's not that ditch weed we used to smoke in high school anymore. No. It ain't the brick weed no more. Yeah. No. So, and concentrates, when you can buy stuff that's 90% THC, and you do that day after day, they explained to me that it was a cumulative effect of doing all this, that finally my body just rejected it. My brain just had too much. I kind of consider it a severe allergic reaction almost to that point. Mm-hmm. And I remember leaving there, they said, hey, you shouldn't smoke weed and don't smoke the dabs anymore. And I was like, okay. How did it make you feel to hear that message? I did not like that because that was a part of my identity. I love doing that shit. I always had my dab pins with me at all my shows, and I was like, here you go. I had a carrying case for my giant dab rig that I took to every green room that I ever played in. Everybody loved me because I'd be like, who wants to rent that dab rig? Yeah, everybody in all the green rooms loved me for that shit. But I quit, and that was January 24, and I quit smoking cannabis, everything. I have not smoked any of it again, and I waited about 6 months, and the doctors at that year told me, like, if you're going to do it, use the edibles. And I was like, okay, I'm probably just going to not touch it for a while and maybe not ever again.
So
and then my birthday came around in June of last year, and I'm like, I'm going to fucking have myself an edible, motherfucker. And so I got some edibles, went and got my weed card again, got it renewed, and I'm like, I can have some edibles. Look at me, party. Just don't smoke weed. Maybe you won't get that hyperemesis again. Yeah. I don't want to be hyperemetic ever again.
Happy birthday, a chance of another hospitalization.
Yeah, and that's the addict in me. It was like, you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. You'll be fine. You can do it. It's okay. It's medical.
This time it'll just be okay.
Yeah. And so I did that for about 6 months, and then December 31st, 2024, I had a big show I was supposed to do in Bentonville for New Year's Eve. Woke up on New Year's Eve with hyperemesis again. It wasn't near as bad as the first time.
And you knew it this time.
Oh, but I knew what it was this time. I'm like, no, please no. Vertigo, dizziness, just I could barely walk around, and I was like, fuck. And so I remember calling the guys in that band, being like, y'all, I got the flu. Because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to, I'd be like, I fucked myself up again.
I can't hang on my drugs.
Yeah, I can't handle nothing. I fucking suck. I'm sorry. And I remember being like, all right, well, that's it. I can't touch this shit anymore. I guess I might have to learn my lesson the hard way. Fool me once, fool me twice, and I got it twice.
Yeah.
And I haven't had any since. That's only been just almost 4 weeks ago now. And I'm committed to I cannot have any substances, obviously. And I even toned down my caffeine drinking. Like, I need to just not have as much caffeine because maybe that'll help me not want to get high and kind of take the edge off. So that helped.
And how are you feeling now just being, as Sarah refers to it, raw dogging life?
Oh, I'm raw dogging the shit out of life. And this is honestly the place that I always imagined myself getting to. And it's perfect. And I fucking love it. It is the only way I want to be. I don't really feel like I'm going to get all this done so I can eat that edible. Mm-hmm. That whole feeling's gone. Now I'm like, I want to get all this done because I want to get it all done. I want to live my life to the fullest every goddamn day. I want to be as responsible as I can and with all of my music and work on it every day and go and play my shows and do my tours and do my recording sessions and be as good as I can at what I do. Fulfill my purpose. Be the purpose. Be the person you want to be. You don't need weed. You don't need anything to really get there. It's more of be the person you want to be. I get it. You want to get high. Everybody wants to kind of check the fuck out. But, I have these things called books to read. It's amazing. They take you away to fantastical lands. And you have these things called movies and videos. I'm going to watch these for a while. I don't need to be high to enjoy this. I'm going to go to the woods and enjoy my time in the woods. I don't need to be high. And this is all just like in the last month. I'm like, I'm so much clear-headed and happier, and I have no desire to want to get fucked up anymore. And I don't want to touch any marijuana ever again. I do not want to feel like that ever again.
So is it like you were describing with quitting the other substances after rehab? Like you just you're free from cravings, or do you have times where a little voice in your brain is like, you can have an edible?
No, I don't find myself having any cravings. I know, and my house is still full of fucking dab rigs and bongs, and there's weed there, and there's edibles in my house, but I ain't touching that shit. I feel like I need to give this away to my friends that have it. I'm like, I don't want to give this shit to anybody. I don't want to impose this fucking drug use upon anybody. I guess I just need to, whenever it's time to finally go throw it all in the dumpster, I will. But that time's not yet, and I've kind of like having it around. It's kind of like alcoholics who can have alcohol in their house. They're like, I ain't touching that shit. That's just poison to me. Mm-hmm. It's just like that's all that stuff in my house. I'm like, this is poison, and I keep it around to make myself know that it's poison, more or less. I'm not going to touch it because I want to live. I want to be alive. I don't want to die.
Hell yeah. So has your musicianship changed at all?
Oh, God, I'm better. Totally better. I can sing better. I mean, smoking all the time really just kind of messed up my sinuses a lot and made me not be able to sing as good. I can sing way better. My rhythm's better. Everything's just better. It just is. And that's not something you really ever want to accept whenever you're like, man, I'd probably be better at fucking what I'm doing if I just didn't get fucked up all the time. But it's true. It's true. You'd be better. You're more, you think a lot of people believe that misinformation that you need to get high to be creative, and it's the fucking opposite. It's the total opposite. The more I feel things, the more I am the person that I want to be, and the more that I see the world for what it really is so much more inspiring and so much more driving to be creative. That's the truth of it. That's what I see, and that's what's really going to ultimately keep me sober the rest of my life. Is like, man, I don't want to blind myself to this. Even all the terrible shit in the world, I want to see that. Mm-hmm. All the beautiful shit in the world, I want to fucking feel that.
Yeah, it's part of the complexity of life.
It really, it's so much more complex than everybody really wants to see. It's like you got to just experience it the way it is. You got to raw dog some life in order to really see it. It's just the truth. It really is. It's the best thing in the fucking world. And that's why paths to recovery, whatever your path is, it's completely worth it. It's what you want to do. It really is. I will testify to the end of time to that shit. Just give it a chance. Give it a couple of years, because it takes a couple of years. It takes a long time to process all this. You got to give yourself space and time to process it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen immediately after you get out of rehab. Trust the guy who left rehab after 3 days and went back. Believe me. You got to just take the time, and you got to put in the effort, and you got to believe in yourself that you don't want to do that. You'd want to break those evil fucking cycles and get away from them and be a full human. It's the way to be. It's the only way to be. I don't want to tell anybody how to live their life or what to do, but man, my life is fucking great. And I'm so happy that I made these choices. And they're easy to make once you get into them and once you feel the things that you need to feel. And once you deal with the emotions that you need to deal with, you learn how to process your emotions in real time. And you're like, oh, fuck. You don't avoid things. You're like, oh, shit, I need to... Give me a second. Let me think about this. And let me figure it out. How do I really feel about this? Oh, well, fuck you then. That's usually, I like that. I like I feel like I'm more present than I've ever been in my whole life. And that's the only way I really want to be. I don't want to be like, I'll deal with that later. I'll get to that later. I'll deal with that. I don't want to think about what that shit that happened to me. No, being here in the present is the best thing in the world. The absolute best thing in the world. And I'll tell everyone that. Everyone, you hear me.
So, do you feel like you've done any exploration of, like, the roots of the substance use? Have you explored, like, you were talking about the difficult trauma of death and stuff like that when you were a kid. Has any of that stuff come up, or is that a future endeavor?
No, I've got a great therapist. He's helped me through all this. My dad has been living in the nursing home he built since January of 23, and it took a while for me to finally realize I've got to go talk to somebody about this. And then that really helped me to begin to explore everything else. And I didn't have trouble processing it. I understood it, but vocalizing it and talking about all those things with someone and getting a professional perspective about it all, that made all the worlds of difference. I think that really contributed to me being able to be as present as I am right now is real professional help. Somebody who really can help you see the things that you want to see and help you find the vision that you want to find. You know, even if you're really fucking sure about what you want. Like, I know what I want to do. I want to play fucking music. God damn it, nobody's going to stop me. But I still needed some help with that perspective and to really keep me aimed in the direction that I want to be without getting kind of pulled off of a path, even if it's just slightly tangential. I'm not trying to get too involved with these other things. I want to keep focused on the things that really matter to me, because it's easy to get pulled into the whole world of, social media and politics and all that. And I went to school for politics, so it's real easy for me to just be like, well, I could fucking rail on about MAGA for hours. God, fucking evil fascist motherfuckers. See, that's it's right there. I mean, that's easy for me to do, but I know that it's a lot healthier for me to be like, yeah. But I have kind of made it my personal kind of vendetta lately to really troll the fucking shit out of the MAGAs on social media. It's like, yeah, my name's ad hominem, and I'm coming at you. I'm gonna call you all the names in the book because you dumb. I ain't trying to convince you to vote differently, but I'm gonna tell you how stupid your choices are.
I'm curious what other things you've learned about yourself in recovery, or if you've garnered any other sort of healthy coping skills. It sounds like you've got a lot of stuff already, like a therapist. You're mentioning walking in the park and reading books. And
I walk my dog. I mean, my poor hound dog. We walk a lot. We love to go walk around the neighborhood. We go to Wilson Park. We go to Walker Park. I take her out to the woods, and we love to walk. It's walking for some reason. Just, physical, I try to do more physical exercise. I'm kind of a little chunky right now. I need to lose some weight, but and that's one of my next things. I keep talking about therapists about, like, I got to start working out again because I'm finally my body's kind of settled into where I am. Ever since I quit smoking the weed, I gained 30 pounds from quitting smoking weed, which is crazy. I guess that's just how much it was really affecting my body. But I was smoking all the time, and I was about 190 pounds, and I quit smoking. And a year later, I'm about 230 pounds. So
a similar thing happened to me when I quit drinking, was that I also gained 30 pounds. But the thing was, I was like dying before, I wasn't absorbing nutrients before. Yeah, so then when I gained the weight, I was like, well, at least I'm alive now.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to me too. I was like, I think this is what your body wants. This is your natural body type is this. So now it's kind of more up to me to make some healthier choices, both with my food and with my exercise. But I mean, my legs are in really good shape because I walk a lot. Me and the puppy dog, we walk all the time, and we love doing it. And it's a great time. But I need to work on the rest of the body now. But that's all right. There's always more improvement. That's kind of what I've learned through all of recovery is, like, there's always more steps. So you're never going to get to a point where, like, no, I'm fine. It's just keep working. You keep improving yourself, and it's a lifelong journey of just self-improvement. The only person to challenge you, the only competition in the world is you against yourself. Yeah, that's it for me. It's I want to be the best musician I can. I want to be the healthiest person I can. I want to be the best son to my parents that I can. And I just want to be the nicest friend I can be to people. Even if you'd vote for MAGA, I'll still be your friend, but I might be mean to you for a while.
I'm also curious, we are getting to the end of our time. I like to ask folks, if you are speaking to someone who is in the depths of their addiction and they're in that very difficult place where perhaps they can't really see the forest for the trees and they're just deep in the suffering, what would you say to that person?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've kind of purposely try not to get involved to helping people that are really in the deep shit because it's hard to not get emotionally involved with it. Yeah. And then be disappointed and then be sad and then be just upset about it all. So it's tough. But if I had to choose something to say, I would tell them that it can always get better, and all you have to do is make a couple of choices and go from there and stick with it. It can always get better. No matter what, no matter how bad you think things are, no matter if you're living in a fucking bridge or under a bridge and fucking smoking crack, man. I've known people who have gone on to own successful businesses after being terrible homeless crackheads. It's possible. There is the realm of possibilities are there, but you have to make the choice to not use. That is the first choice you have to make, and it's the place to start, and it's the only thing to do. And there's a lot of us that are going to throw a hand out there to help pick you up. There always is. There's always going to be way more people than you think to put that lifeline out there to you. But you have to want to get that lifeline. Yeah. Nobody is too far gone. I definitely like to say that. 100%. All right. Well, it's been a very lovely time chatting with you. Yeah. And thanks for joining me. Thank you for having me. Recovery Demystified is produced and edited by me, Early Brunner. Stevie Pettit made our logo. Our social media manager is Kaylee Bausch. Logan Bragg wrote our beautiful theme music. We are entirely supported by donations as a 501c3 nonprofit. Your tax-deductible donations can be made to our Venmo or to our PayPal at Recovery Demystified. May you be happy and free, dear listener.